Greetings, Kindred. I am Voivode Maquette, and welcome back to my world of darkness. This is the playlist where we go over the story of Thicker Than Water, which is the Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition game that I personally run in my home. We're on Season 2. How freaking weird is that I've actually divided this up into seasons? The story has gone in ways that I just didn't know that it was going to go. And at this point in time, my Kindred are in Chicago. My Portland, Oregon Kindred have been shipped to Chicago. Now, in the beginning of Season 2 of this, it explains why. And that is because the Sabbat pack of Cain's Choir is forcing them to radicalize, to make a change. And the way that they have decided to do it was the prince, Billy Smith, said he would step down from power and hand the city's major runnings over to the anarchs if they went to Chicago and attended Prince Kevin Jackson's finishing schools. That way they knew the rules. And that way, if anything happened, they would be fully educated and liable for the crimes that they commit. And they agreed, because Tinia is now the new baron of the city. And regardless of anything, that was the best deal they could muster. Now, they pulled some strings with Miles Trent and ended up getting shipped to Chicago. And that's actually where this session starts off. Is they wake up in a storage hangar at O'Hare Airport, being opened, their travel cases being opened by a ghoul by the name of Felicity Miller. And I'll have all the new NPCs listed and shown and all that stuff on the screen so you can see who the avatars are and the like, and what information I'm willing to give you of them as this goes on. Because I actually took this session as a way of introducing the characters to some SPCs that could very well end up helping them along later on. I don't know if any of you have seen Chicago by Night, but not only is it an amazing story and amazing resource for running your game, it's massive, and there's so many characters in it. And on top of that, there's also the Chicago Folios. And there's just so much information about Chicago, because Chicago is the crown jewel of Camarilla exception when it comes to modern Vampire the Masquerade. And, it was when it first started, too, because Chicago by Night was a thing. Like, dealing with it was really just the first huge story that you could run if you wanted to run out of a module. Now, running through Chicago by Night is going to lead us into a new storyline, as all stories do, but this story arc is important, in my opinion, just because of what it's going to do. I'm working on making it so that every bit of this counts to make the players know how to run things if they don't have Camarilla ruling. Because I'm not going to have the Camarilla covering their backs when it comes to using influences and things like that. They are going to be the ones who have to do this if they're going to keep that masquerade preserved. Now, as I said, they were being opened from their fire retardant safety travel coffins provided by Miles by pulling some strings with some individuals. Hesha, if anybody really wants to know. But they're let out by Felicity Miller and also Elle. Now, Elle is a very interesting character. This is Serendipity's new player character, since Dawn Rose has been shelved, we'll put her, because we may see her again. But, oh my god, this is a nutball character. I just gotta say that right now. She's so interesting and outgoing, and has this crazy lust for life, which is completely opposite of Dawn. She's not... I don't know. Dawn was just this insane little monster. And Elle is just this, it's a whole new character. So as they open up these boxes, it becomes quite evident that Elle is actually acquainted with Annette, which is Davaga's new character. That during the travels throughout the country, Elle eventually did run into this Annette in Seattle. They became friends, and if they were ever going to go, if Annette was ever going to go to Chicago, they should definitely hook up. And here we go. We have a common link. Now, after getting them out, Elle borrows a airport shuttle, one of the long vans with the multiple rows of seating, to get the characters to Blue Velvet, which is going to be tonight's Elysium, so that they can be introduced to the court of the city and be acknowledged by the prince. Because if they are going to be here to basically gain access to rulership over Portland, they do have to follow the rules while they're here. Now, as they get to Blue Velvet, and Elle spends some time showing off her driving skills, because that's what she does. She drives and she plays music in roadhouses. It's you guys will get to know Elle over time. She's just a nutball. That's all I got to say. But as they arrive at Blue Velvet and they walk into the room with the heavy club music pumping in the background, there's a few Kindred that they meet along the way downstairs. And first one, not many Kindred realize this, but Jonathan Harker, who reluctantly went along with this, who did not want to come to Chicago because this brushes very closely to his origin story, runs into a Kindred by the name of Dusable. And Abraham Dusable is the new regent of Clan Tremere. He quickly tells him that the Tremere are stationed in Chinatown, and he does expect to see him by the end of the night, and then moves on. That was more of a tense building, I wouldn't even really call it a scene interaction, due to the fact that Jonathan, being the one who knows the majority of the city, is going to be removed from the coterie from time to time, due to the fact that he is in Tremere territory, and also has been contacted by higher-ups in the Tremere, who are putting the fact that he's an Absissimist to the side because they want him to be a Profectus. They want him to be the individual who they contact with, who has knowledge of ghosts, if that comes up. So he has to walk a fine line between being active in the Anarch community and also answering to whatever Tremere needs to call him at any given time. And to stop them from hunting and harassing him, he's gonna kind of go for that, at least for now. I went ahead and I decided that I was going to start using some of the lore sheets as plot points for NPCs or SPCs, simply to have access to those, and so that the players would be able to at least gain possible access to them if they see the need. Now, the next person they run into is Rosa Hernandez, who is the Gangrel Primogen. And I've always been interested in the fact that the Gangrel and the Brujah have Primogen in Chicago. And where Critias, the Brujah Primogen, is a Camarilla loyal and loyal to Prince Jackson, Rosa is more loyal to her clan. And the fact that she can use her coterie, the Wolf Pack, as a way to fulfill her own personal ambitions of destroying every werewolf they possibly can. Especially since there is a treaty between the Kindred of Chicago and the Lupines of Chicago, that if they find any in their territory, they will hunt down and kill them. So, while talking to Rosa, this is also the time where David's character gets introduced into the game, and he's just sitting at the bar whistling to himself and sculpting little clay figures of the see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil monkeys. Now that character's name is William Jenkings, and he's a very far cry from Damien that we're used to. I'm very interested to see my players here, this troupe, playing such interesting, diverse characters. I'm not getting photocopies of the same character sheets, and I'm not getting rehashes of what they've already done. Where Willem he's so far quiet, introspective Malkavian who is connected to the Madness Network, and he's trying to survive himself because his primogen is terrifying. Jason's son, Newberry, is a calm, quiet, well-mannered young man who doesn't even seem old enough to truly be in Blue Velvet right now, but he's here. But as he gets closer to Willem, he feels this calling of, this is a dangerous monster. And he needs to be very, very careful around him. So, getting back to the coterie, as they're talking to Rosa, they end up running into Lester Knife, who is another member of the Wolf Pack. And as they begin talking with him, because he's a little bit more jovial, he's a little bit more willing to speak to Elle, maybe on a friendlier basis with her, being of the same clan, the Gangrel, and opens up to what exactly the Elysium is about tonight, and the fact that it's the same thing that they've been doing for 5 months, and he's just annoyed with it to the point where he doesn't even really attend any longer. And that is the trial of Victoria Longwood. I chose this tiny little mention, which is in towards the beginning of the Chicago by Night book, as the best way to introduce the 4 laws of Elysium in Chicago in a more organic way, because Victoria Longwood broke some rules in an attempt to let her friends who were not from Chicago know where the Elysium was, because you can't text, you can't send emails, like as a way of having a meetup place so that they can become acknowledged, or at least announce that they are there to the prince. She spray painted the outside of Blue Velvet with clan symbols and other things, and the city is massively divided on this, on whether or not she found a new innovative way to let people know where things are, or if she broke the rules of Elysium. Now, as the characters eventually do get up to the Elysium on the 2nd floor, they walk in on Critias doing his closing statement. The kindred of the city are all standing around him and listening as the Brujah Primogen goes on explaining why they are there. That she broke these rules, but that is why we have these rules in place, and we may need to renegotiate what they mean or change how they work in this new era where all the technology has been banned because hunters may find them. But the 4 rules, if those of you who do not know or have not played Chicago by Night, are: on pain of blood hunt, no violence is permitted on the premises against kindred, kind, or property. And this is one of the big rules that was broken, because is tagging the outside of the Elysium, which is owned by a kindred, violence against the property? The second one is: the Elysium is to be considered neutral ground. No conflict of any sort among kindred may be carried onto the sacred ground. The third one is: access shall not be limited. All Canaanites are welcome. Well, if they can't find the Elysium, how are they welcome? And the fourth one is one should not attract attention as one leaves or enters Elysium. And that right there is one of the big things that Victoria Longwood broke. It's the fact that it's quite a bit of attention. This is going to end up being on the news because someone tagged the side of a well-known nightclub. So the Kindred are actually stuck in the concept of, do we punish her or do we reward her? That being said, Victoria has existed staked and in torpor somewhere in the city while the court debates her fate. This has been 5 months. And this was my way of getting those 4 rules expressed to the players, so that I don't have to do just a needless exposition dump. I was able to actually put it off in story. Now, the characters are hanging out in the Elysium at this point in time, and the prince stands up in front of everyone after Critias stands down and says that they have been discussing this for a very long time, and that the Brujah Primogen makes a wonderful point in the expression of what the laws of Elysium are. But as a prince who allows the democratic process to take place in his city, he tells them to hurry up and make a decision. Because this Kindred, this neonate who is staked, duskborn or not, her fate needs to be chosen. We cannot just leave her staked. Is she to be killed? Or is she to be released? Maybe commendated at that point. A lot of the Kindred in the city believe that punishment has already been given due to the fact that she's been staked this long. But her fate yet again goes unanswered as the plot line goes on. And I chose this time to go ahead and allow my players to go to just meet some of the NPCs in the area. And we ended up focusing mostly on Clan Toreador. There was a little bit of a conversation with Critias, who gave them the address of where they would go to partake in the finishing school, which he's the one who will be teaching. So the teacher aspect of Critias that's definitely something that's going to be a major facet in this plot line, where the characters are learning the history of Kindred existence and what rules they follow and why. I'm not really sure how long I should make a semester, I guess, last in this plot line, but I do want to make sure that we are able to run through a couple of minor plot lines so that the characters become invested in Chicago before I put them through The Sacrifice, which is Chapter 8 of the Chicago by Night book, which is the major plot line that I want them running through. After reading through it, I had decided that there's just no way I can go, hey guys, by the way, here's a plot line that none of you have a reason to actually be invested in. I mean, the only people in this plot line who have a reason at all to be involved in this are Elle, who is the kind of character who would literally just go, oh, this looks complicated, I'm leaving. And Willem Jenkings, he's just a neonate Malkavian at this point anyway, who nobody really knows who he is. So just walking up and going, here's this plot line, doesn't make much sense. So we're going to be going through some other things before we actually get to it. So don't get frustrated. I'm just trying to give them a chance to actually know what is going on. So the other NPCs that they ended up meeting this night, like I said, I kind of focused on Clan Toreador as it comes to everything. But let's see, they met Disable, they met Lester. Oh yes, they do run into Annabelle Character, who is the Toreador Primogen. Automatically, our dear Justin is trying to make his worth known to the Toreador in the area, which is definitely a good thing, which is why I was able to throw so many Toreador out at once, because they were so interested in what was going on. And as Justin was speaking to Annabelle, Nero pops up. Now, Nero is he is that character who's just so interested in seeing the downfall of everything. And he even says that he is so excited to see what horrible things happen concerning the new blood in the city and how it could affect the rest of the way that the Chicagoan vampires are dealing with things. Now, I also got to introduce Portia. Portia as a character, when they walked up into the Elysium, I had everybody notice Portia right away as being one of the most gorgeous kindred in the city. I had them all throw a test, willpower test, and anybody who got less than 3 successes on it would be 2 traits down in all interactions, and that was not for the night. That is for good. Anytime they deal with Portia, she is 2 traits up on all tests because of her essence that she puts out there into the world. Now, other than that, the night was pretty slow. I allowed them to have a chance to just get to know the city, get to know some of the NPCs, and also discuss what they were going to do. Critias told them that he was going to give them about 2 weeks to get settled into the city. And for the rest of the night, the Kindred went sightseeing with Elle. I do believe that Gabriel, however, did end up teaming up with the Wolf Pack and chasing down a wayward guru who decided to go rushing through Gangrel territory. That is where we left off that night. That coming to Chicago, this new city, it really does shake things up because they don't have their friends. They don't have the SPCs. They don't have the retainers and everything for the most part to deal with in the city. We've also got 3 new characters who are really just trying to find their way through this whole thing. And it's awkward for the players who know why they're there. But Elle and William both did decide that they are also going to be attending this school. In fact, Critias introduces the coterie themselves to William because he's already enrolled. Because he has to pass the finishing school if his, I don't want to say sire, but his regnant, the person, the Malkavian who's lording over him, is to allow him to go off on his own and do his own thing. Because currently, he's under the asylum's control. This is where we left off, and I will have another episode coming out, probably either the same day as this one or the next, but I'm just very excited to see how things go, and I love doing the loose nights where I just get to throw a couple of NPCs at the players, let them see how they interact, and let them feel out the city. But we'll see exactly where we're going in the next one. I am Voivode Maquette. Thank you for joining me in my world of darkness, and we will continue this story very soon. Have a good evening.